Hey guys, what's up? It's iPhone here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my Amprex builds that I use in Warframe in 2020. I'm going to be showing off 3 builds. One is for like your Overkill player, that guy who wants to get the most damage. I've also got like an in-between build, and then I've got one that is for beginning players as well. So let's just jump right into it. The first build that I have, of course, this is our Overkill build where we've got on Serration for our damage, Split Chamber for our multi-shot, Heavy Caliber for more damage. We lose out in accuracy here, but it doesn't really matter too much because the Amprex is a beam weapon, so not that big of a deal. Vital Sense for our critical damage, Point Strike for critical chance. I've got my Infected Clip and my Stormbringer to make corrosive. You're going to want to change this up for whatever element you need to kill the enemies that you're going against. So for example, you know, like if you wanted to kill the likes of Corpus, for example, it might be worth you running like Infected Clip and then Malignant Force because of course Toxin goes through the enemy's shields. So it might be worth running just that over the likes of corrosive or maybe magnetic. So keep that in mind. I've also got Prime Being of Corrupted on here because this is going to give us an insane damage increase, but the thing is, this mod might not be worth it for most players to invest into because 1, you got to get it from borrow, 2, it's a lot of endo to get it the max rank, and then 3, you also have to swap it in and out every single time you want to change up the faction that you're going against, so this mod might not be for everybody. And then I threw on a rifle ammo mutation on this last slot because, you know, more ammo is good, right? Because this weapon will probably run out of ammo pretty quickly if you're holding down the trigger constantly with it, and honestly, I don't blame you if you're going to do that. So the only thing that really changes whenever it comes to this build is this one mod right here. So if you were to take this mod out, you put your final mod in the slot pretty much all the time. Now, this could be a third element. This could be a 60% elemental mod, then a status mod. It could be bladed rounds. It could be Argos scope. Whatever you want to throw on here, you can throw on here. This is pretty much like a flex slot. But I want to demonstrate the damage versus level 110 Corrupted Heavy Gunners with the beam mod on, simply just to show you the damage and how the weapon sort of works with this build. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into that. So 8 heavy gunners, they're going to be paused. Pausing these guys isn't going to give me a damage boost, so don't worry too much about that. We're going to go ahead and aim at their heads, and what you're going to notice is the electric from the weapon, or corrosive from the weapon, because we've got corrosive damage on, is going to chain from enemy to enemy here, and it's going to be stripping their armor. So I'll be shooting this guy, but the armor of this guy is going to be stripped away, so this guy is going to die faster than this guy, because he's going to have a little bit less health and a little bit less armor whenever we start shooting at him, right? So that is kind of like the selling point of the Amprex. We just hold down left click, and you can see that he dies pretty quickly, and then everyone around him pretty much has lost a little bit of health. And when you just keep on doing that, and then you'll see that the enemies sort of like progressively start to die faster, right? So that is the upside of the Amprex, especially whenever you're going against enemies who are higher level, right? Like, it's going to start arcing between the enemies with a high armor value, and it's going to start stripping the armor away, and it's just going to be a good time. So that's going to be the same for all of the builds that I use, because I'm going to be testing versus the same enemies. I will also demonstrate a gas build versus Corpus as well, just to show that off, because it's pretty crazy too. So gas or Toxin would be what you want to use versus the Corpus. The status chance is pretty low on the weapon, so that's why I recommended maybe Toxin over gas to begin with, but it's honestly up to you. Both are really good. Moving on to config B though, we've got my bladed rounds on here. So realistically, like, the order that it goes in whenever it comes to DPS, you've got your Prime Beam mod, then you've got bladed rounds, then you've got Argon scope, then you've got your third elemental mod, right? Where like maybe you want to double up on an element or something like that. That's sort of the order that it goes in terms of damage. So this would be like your second highest burst DPS build, so to speak. So it's more or less the exact same build. You just swapped out the beam mod for bladed rounds. I noticed that the effect or the bonus damage that you're getting with this build is going to take effect after you get 1 kill. So yeah, that's all I'm going to really demonstrate here. We're going to spawn in the bad guys. We're going to rush on over to them. You'll notice that after we get our first kill here, so it takes a little bit longer. Reload the weapon, because why not? We get that bonus damage, and the enemies start to die a lot faster. Now, that's because the armor is stripped. We've got that bladed rounds bonus, and yeah, they've took a little bit of damage beforehand as well. So that one it seemed to have killed those enemies a little bit quicker. Now, that's because, you know, you've got that 120% critical damage bonus, I believe. At lower levels, that's going to be faster at killing them. But then whenever it comes to like higher level content, your beam mod is probably going to do a lot better in terms of DPS and whatnot. It just sort of scales better, I think. So yeah, that is that. But moving on to our third and final build, I've got my Malignant Force on here. Now, you can swap Malignant Force out for the likes of... what's that mod called? Hellfire. So you can throw Hellfire on there if you have the space for it. I don't have the space for it. So what I can do actually is I could go ahead and I could throw Thermite Runs on, and that would be your third elemental mod that you could throw on here. You can throw on Thermite Rounds for that bonus damage from fire. So that's going to depend on the enemy that you're going up against. Or you could throw on, like I had, Malignant Force, and in that way you're going to be proccing your corrosive procs more consistently, right? So it's really up to you what you want to do. Both of them are good picks. I'll demonstrate with the fire damage. So this is corrosive and fire. So you get the 75% bonus damage from the corrosive damage, and then the 25% bonus damage from the fire damage. And this is the type of damage that we deal. You see that you do get the fire procs in there as well. So that's nice too. And they die pretty quickly, right? Pretty easy build to go for, in my opinion at least. You just have to, of course, get your mods max rank and get the mods from the vault runs and stuff like that. But, you know, that's pretty easy stuff if you just follow along with the likes of a guide or something, or you look it up. So honestly, not a hard build to get, and as you can see, versus those level 110 Corrupted Heavy Gunners, which is like the highest level enemy that you're going to be coming up against in today's meta of Warframe, they die pretty quickly, right? So let's just go ahead and do the exact same thing with the likes of Malignant Force. There we go. Spawn in the bad guys. Rush on over. So you'll see that we just proc our corrosive proc a little bit more consistently. And the guys die just a little bit faster, you know, because they're losing more armor quicker, pretty much. So both of those builds are pretty good. I'd recommend investing into any three of them, really. Like, the Amprex is a pretty easy weapon to build. You could go out of your way and get like a really cool ribbon for it. The ribbon that I have for it right now is like crit chance, crit damage, bonus fire rate. So like the damage that this thing deals is pretty insane. Actually, let's just go ahead and demonstrate it just because I want to. Simulate the guy. Rush on over. So we actually end up getting into orange crit territory. What I could do is I can maybe take my crit chance mod off or something, and then throw on my beam mod if I really wanted to, but I believe that the crit chance stat that I have is just slightly lower than what Point Strike gives. Yeah, so it's 106 compared to 150, so it's not slightly lower, it's like almost 50% lower, which isn't the best, but it's still a good ribbon regardless. I could probably get a better roll given like damage and multi-shot and whatnot, but it's still a pretty alright ribbon. It increases DPS a little bit. But yeah, I wanted to demonstrate gas as well. So gas is a combination between toxin and then also heat damage. So I'd throw on my Hellfire. And then gas is going to work better versus the Corpus faction because they don't have any armor. You ought to be using gas versus enemies who don't have armor simply because you can combine a beam mod with the gas procs and whatnot to have your toxin procs that are applied from the gas cloud. They're going to have like basically triple damage, so to speak. They're going to be doing a thing called triple dipping, right? So check this out. If we spawn in the tech enemies, and I'll make these guys a level 110 as well. Rush on over. You'll notice that whenever we get a gas proc, those guys die very, very, very fast. Now, you're relying on the gas proc coming out. You might want to throw on your 60-60 mods, right? So your 60 elemental damage and 60% status chance. Not too sure if I could fit that on. Let me just go ahead and chance it for the sake of the video. Malignant Force, yeah, I won't be able to fit it on, but you sort of get the gist of it anyway. You'd need to change up the polarities that I have on this build to sort of accommodate that, but you know, you can get away with it. I see a lot of people also building like Hunt Munitions and the likes on B mods. I don't know why, but the guys that I sort of like pay attention to whenever it comes to builds and stuff, like the really invested math nerds of the game, they recommend not using Hunt Munitions on beam weapons because you get lower DPS overall. It's better investing into stuff like fire rate and proccing your cruiser procs and whatnot. So maybe investing into fire rate in some area might be worth it as well. So let's say, for example, in this build, you could throw on the likes of what's it called again? I forget what the fire rate mod is called off the top of my head. Let me just type in fire rate here. Where's it at? I don't have it. Speed trigger, there it is. I'm blind. You can throw that on there and you might get a little bit more damage out of that as well. So we spawn in our heavy gunners again, like so. Simulate them, rush on over. You'll notice that they die pretty quickly as well. So that's an option as well if you want to incorporate a fire rate mod in. The problem with this is though, you're probably going to run out of ammo just that little bit faster as well. So it's really down to you. On top of that, there is other ways of getting a little bit more fire rate out of your weapons too. So for example, I could use Gauss's 4 and get, a crazy amount of damage that way. So I could just run my bleed it rounds build, right? Spawn in the bad guys. Hit my 4. I could even throw on an arcane if I really wanted to. And then guys will die quickly with this as well. So like I was showing you the builds without any Warframe buffs or anything like that being applied. So just imagine whenever you use the likes of, Mirage or Rhino or Chroma or Gauss or any Warframe that can sort of like buff up the effects of your weapon, like the damage and whatnot. Like the damage of this weapon is getting into that sort of like insane territory, right? So, Amprex is a pretty good weapon. I recommend picking it up. You get it from the Energy Lab in your clan's dojo. So that's the Corpus one. And yeah, it's a solid weapon to pick up. It's very easy to make a build for it, so I would just go and do it. I want to test out my beam build with a fire rate buff as well, just because. Why not? It does pretty alright damage. So yeah, it's more or less the exact same build for the likes of the Ignis Wraith. I think I've got Vile acceleration on my Ignis Wraith. Let me just go ahead and check. Sound a little bit sick, don't I? Oh my god, my voice. Vile acceleration, yeah. It's pretty much the same, except I have no beam mod on here, so you can probably get away with throwing on Vile acceleration on there as well. And get a little bit of damage. It's okay. I like the Ignis Wraith as well, but only certain clans have the Ignis Wraith, so yeah. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for the video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead, hit that like button below. If you disliked it, hit dislike. I apologize for like me sounding like I'm dying. I think I'm getting the flu again. Not too sure. It's really cold over here, so explains a lot. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video. Like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. Subscribe for more Warframe content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.